start for Cal and Lozario.
Was it a power surge? No, it was a Cesario surge on uneven bars. This routine had so many standout moments, floating through the straddle of Jaeger, maintains the pressure in the overshoot, beautiful position there on the low bar, winds up for the dismount, rises up, tiny scoot back, but 9.925 was the result for Cesario. Casey Brown, 9.875 was the ultimate score. The lesson here is patience. Watch how patient she is in the pack. Boom, floats it all the way up. Transitions back up to the high bar. Patience here. Let yourself swing, and right here gets a little bit antsy, and then snaps her legs down, and then patience again. All right, so Casey Brown, let's see. That was 3 out of 4, exactly the right amount of patience she needed. So that final handstand will be a note for her moving forward.
See, Cesario has won both events so far, so I'm no math major, but she leads the all-around.
Yeah, and we mentioned her as part of that quartet of all-around threats. The beautiful thing about Cal Bears is you never know who it's going to be on a given day, but we want to see Ella continue that momentum. She leads the program off on beam and has hit that 9.9 number before in that slot.
Yeah, last year, that amazing run for Cal in the postseason, she had 19 of her 20 routines. Around the ACC, there are 6 teams in the ACC. Cal, Clemson, NC State, UNC are in the ACC along with Stanford and Pitt. California will go to Raleigh next weekend to face off with NC State. They'll also have a meet, the big meet we'll have for you here on ACC Network with Stanford. Clemson will host Pitt, and then they'll go up to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And of course, the ACC championships will be in Greensboro. We were talking about earlier, NCAA regionals, 4 different regionals. Cal was a host last year. That was the last time the Bears were here at home, and they won that Cal regional. Bears en route to winning their first ACC duel against Clemson. Rotation number 3 coming up. We're about ready for the 3rd rotation. Clemson getting ready on the floor. Reminder, next week you'll be able to catch the Golden Bears at NC State at Reynolds Coliseum in Raleigh, right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 7 Cal, number 22 NC State. Alex Perlman and Olympian Samantha Peshek on the call. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. And talking to Justin Howell, he was very excited to be on the ACC Network.
Justin Howell loves to have a job, and if it's whether it's being on the ACC Network or controlling the beam music for his program, he takes that on fully. As we know, it is very established that Elizabeth Crandall Hall is a bit of a beam mastermind, so it's important to see, even through any staff, even through co-head coaches, even through spouses, you see that division of power. You lean in, I lean out, whatever it takes. Cal is a great example of that.
I asked Justin, what's it like once the season starts? He said, you're drinking out of a fire hose. And it is just all go all the time, but he loves it.
Yeah, that's a lot of times gymnastics. There's always something else. And we talked about Amy Smith's list earlier. I'm sure that's just a doctrine for most NCAA coaches. We're getting a look here at the gymnast who's been lights out so far today. It's Ella Cesario. Gonna lead off the Bears on beam.
At 9.9 last week at that Davis quad. She won the event last week, and then it's the depth of Cal. She's won the bar, she's won the vault. Last week she won the beam.
We'll see how she maintains that momentum and energy from vault to bars. Did a great job handling it, getting some words of wisdom from a fellow beam queen, Maya Lazon.
And so many great performances last year. She had a 39.65 all around against Stanford. That was the 10th best score in the NCAA last year.
Amazing. Simple mount up onto the side of the beam. But Ella accentuates throughout the choreography and even the acrobatic skills. The length of her limbs, her ability to reach and project. First big test is going to come here. Step out, lay out, step out. Really solid through her core, right down the center of the beam. Tiny flicker of that front foot, but minimal. Switch lead, switch half. All important to hit 180 in those straddle and split positions. The back leg really rose up there for Ella. She looks settled, she looks confident, and fluid, rhythm, all of these additional things other than the skills. Setting up for the dismount here. 1.5 looks. Holds it. That was a lesson in NCAA dismounts this year. Zeroed in, really trusted her technique, had a tiny bend at the waist there, but maintained it, mitigated anything further.
Justin Howe talking about she's become a vocal leader for this team and just really key building the team up.
When being can be that easy to talk about, and just as a testament to how confident they are in their skills. Coach Elizabeth Crandall Hall there at the end, always the first one, head on, clapping for her athletes.
And one of the all-time greats at BYU, Elizabeth Crandall Howe. Here's Lily Lippett, a key performer for the Clemson Tigers on the floor.
Talked about how valuable she is with that elite experience, starting things off. We also talked about the avant-garde choreography choices that Amy Smith was known for as an athlete. She's implementing that in this Clemson program as well. First pass for Lippett. Round off back handspring, double tuck. Able to take a single step back into that lunge position, but it's got to show control. It can't be too large. Another noticeable thing there, her front foot that needed to stay planted, minor scoot.
Last week at Pitt had a 9.725 on the floor.
Shinova down to the floor. She puts up the B-side. This choreography is quick, and I would describe it as zippy. Could use a tiny bit more projection through the rest of her upper body. Last pass here for Lippett. 1.5, front full. Controls it around, tiny bit off center. We talk about that all-important 9-8 number for Clemson. I would say that's going to flirt with that in the leadoff position.
Amy Smith, her coaching career started as a choreographer in Kentucky and Florida.
Another look here at the opening pass. She was a junior athlete who was known for a whip back full right into that double tuck. So a lot of years of experience with that first pass. Beautiful knee form. She maintains a tight tuck there.
Solid start for Cal on the beam with a 9.8. Here's Maddie Williams.
Coaches coming out a little bit conservative with that number. As we talked through it, there really weren't that many evident opportunities to deduct. Tiny bit on the dismount. Maddie Williams, another artist up here on beam. But I really appreciate the variety in the choreography, the look, the overall aesthetic and feel between somebody like Cesario and Maddie Williams. The 180 split on that first split jump, textbook. Snaps that back leg down. I had a moment of a little bit of a delay for me, but we mentioned it with Ella. So tight through their core, trusting their training and basics, keeping everything fluid and moving. There's one part of this routine that Maddie has sometimes doubted herself in the past. It's the dismount. You saw a tiny bit of that unfortunate doubt creep in right at the end. Hopefully in a replay we see what those feet actually did. I think the gainer back handspring off the side was confident. Looking here though, that opening combination brings the leg around right into the split jump. Here's the series. Back leg comes down, really showing it off. Here's the dismount, all right. Kicks up, tiny bit of pike down. shifts back, and then that right foot actually scoots back. A couple notes on the dismount for Williams.
Maddie Williams, another special Cal athlete. She wants to become a pediatrician.
Look at that. Pursuing excellence in everything, and that's another aspect of the program that the Hulls want to instill in their athletes.
Here's Maggie Holman.
A little bit close to that 9.8 range, 9.775 in the books for the leadoff. We'll see how Holman handles and hopefully builds.
From Raleigh, North Carolina vault state champion, and last week had her first career win.
Front handspring, front double fold, a little extra juice, steps into the front lunge. See some of that avant-garde choreography, and perhaps still in January, early in the season. We'll also look to see later on how these athletes settle in to performing. Facially right now, taking a good opportunity to smile, but could be projecting up and out. The other note for these first two performers is the carriage of their upper body. Very balletic, trained dancing, keeping everything there, but at the same time, a little bit too stiff. I want to see some movement, and I think we can expect that later in the lineup for Clemson. Holman with her next pass. Really fought for the rebound into the back layout, step out onto the Rudy. Looking like endurance could be a factor at this point. Half crown to close for Holman. Like I said, gutsy performance to close on that last pass. Sometimes the timing of the floor doesn't quite bounce you as you would expect. Getting another look here. Pikes down in that Rudy. Got a little bit anxious. Didn't have to pike down like that. When she's closing her hips, that means her feet are coming to the floor faster and not getting the ultimate extent bounce up of the floor. Undoubtedly, Amy Smith having some words on that last pass.
So Maddie Williams got a 9.85. Here's Jordan Kane, the senior from Rhode Island.
Fan favorite Wolf turn to start. Jordan Kane has something to prove here. Uncharacteristic bars performance. Redemption beam can sometimes be angry beam, and unfortunately not there for Jordan. Actually, you saw in the first element a slight adjustment of her foot, kept things moving, but sometimes you already know what's going to happen. So here, it's a test of her will now. Perform the rest of this routine to the best of your ability. Floaty hitch kick into switch side. Can't tell if she's wincing. Definitely doesn't look like a totally comfortable day for Jordan Kane. Brings it home. Something definitely not normal for Jordan Kane. Puts that 1.5 down in a safe way. We'll keep you posted there, but there's a lot to be said for dealing through the adversity in real time. Standing back tuck here. The finish position is aggressive for Kane. Takes it here. Cartwheel into the 1.5. Tiny hop forward. Really breathing through it. And that's another, the mental aspect of this sport. Even in times of adversity or things not going your way, finding a space where you can control what you can control.
With a 9.625 on the floor for Maggie Holman. Here is Madison Minner, the walk-on from just up the road from Clemson in Anderson, South Carolina.
Important for Minner to create some momentum for this Florida lineup. I would say Lily Lippett did exactly what they needed from them. Holman, a little bit of anxiety in that last pass.
The Motley Crew.
She's vibing out. I would say that front double twist opening, really great tight form in the air. Rolls into that front lunge. Example of the movement, the pacing, matching the tempo of the music, connecting with it. Madison Minner closes things out. Rudy back layout. Same last pass as Holman. Uses that bounce to finish. Backspin. We know the folks at home love that one. So Minner, I would say through the tumbling, jumps and leaps solid across the board, definitely provides what they needed in terms of getting the Tigers back on track.
Have a look here at Madison Minner's floor exercise.
Really great tight form. That's exactly how you want to do it. Last pass here, we'll talk about the timing. So the Rudy here, she not as much hip closure, allows her to use the bounce of the floor, get up much higher than Holman did before her. The one point on the choreography, though, is you see them working and projecting, I would say, some stiffness still with these Clemson athletes. So hopefully we're going to see that evolve over time in the season.
And Minner last year, she had a 9.9 on the floor against Air Force. You mentioned Anderson is where Clemson had to practice up until this year, 30 minutes each way. Here's one of the best in the country, MJ Frazier on the beam.
We talk about the opportunities to learn, and this is a different situation than MJ Frazier probably expected, but definitely something that she is prepared to handle. 9.0 for Kane before her. But MJ has so many picture-perfect moments in this exercise. Full turn, stays on releve. That means she's up on her tippy toe on the beat, on the foot that's rotating on the beam, holds it there. Front aerial to layout back step out, keeps it moving. Intentional movement on balance beam is also a characteristic of performers who are so confident in what they're doing. It's almost like you're breathing mid-skill. Split leap, bring the lead. Talked about picture perfect. Take your pick for MJ Frazier. Another opportunity for the Bears to right the ship. Hardly a 1.5. Shoulders tilted slightly behind the hips, and that was the resultant single pace back. Up on the apparatus, though, flawless from Frazier.
Frazier's gotten a 10 on the beam. She's the first ever Cal gymnast to get 10s on 2 different apparatuses.
Front aerial to the layout back step out. Drifted over just slightly to the right side of the front aerial, but kept it moving. No sweat for Frazier. Another look at the dismount there. A tiny step back, but again, the ball preceding you. Different situations call for different things. Safe one to her feet for Frazier, but exemplary poetry in motion up on the apparatus.
9.85 for Madison Minner. Setting it up for Molly Arnold, one of the Utah State transfers, at a 9.7 on the floor last week against Pitt.
Huge for Minner to crack into that 9.85 range. Talked about creating that momentum. Important to see what Arnold does now. Starts with an E pass. It's a tuck full in. It's up off the air, rises up, but short of rotation. She was deep in her knees.
Went to the NCAA championship last year as an individual on the floor as well as the vault.
The intricacies in the choreography are undeniable, and I do think it is just a matter of time. As with Clemson, you know, we saw a matter of time in so many aspects for this program, and each season is new and unique, settling into what you're doing, what you're performing out there. Final pass here, 2.5 punch front. Really love the spring on that. The technique in the 2.5 sets her up perfectly for that front tuck salto to end.
Floor's the event where Clemson's looking to improve. They're top 25 in vault, bars, and beam. Floor so far this year, they're 41, but again, it's early.
And Amy Smith was realistic about that. She called out the absence of Rebecca Wells and also Bree Clark having some early misses in the season. So she sees where they need to improve and how they can do it. 2.5 front tuck to close there. Little extra juice. Amy Smith, every movement right along with them.
She was the head coach at Utah State. She left to build the Clemson program. She said she's so grateful for the last 3 years. It's been the best professional experience of her life. It was a 9.875 for MJ Frazier. And here's Maya Lazan.
This mount sequence, something to behold. That right there. So clutch. MJ Frazier with that 9.875. Getting things back on track after the 9.0 and building from the routines before them. So still all systems go for Cal. It's going to be a triple series, 3 elements. That handspring step out, that handspring step out, layout step out for Lazan. She's happy with it. You saw the slightest shift in her hips. Kept moving through it, but it does indicate a little bit of tightness on that landing. You wouldn't know it for anything else other than a critical eye.
That was on first-team All-American last year on the beam.
So important look there. The switch loop had a deduction, that shoulder dip. So what that effectively does is breaks the connection. So she did those next 2 skills together as almost an insurance policy. Tiny flip on the radar of Lazan. Hangs that double full up though. And so you almost play these mathematical games with yourself as a gymnast. You obviously know when something isn't going quite according to plan, and then maybe you're coming a little bit tighter with a little more focus. But this right here, watch this. Tiny shift right to get back. Not a great angle to see it from there, but this hangs it up, almost goes out of frame. A double full straight down. Watch it. Patient up there. Zeroes in. And I actually like how she's bringing those legs and feet a little bit closer than in years past. Before, she kind of got a really wide base and was able to always slide them together, but really appreciate rising to the newer level that Coach Liz Crandall told us. We didn't even think it would be there for Lazan, but she's somehow finding opportunities to do it.
A regional champion on the beam last year. Here's Eve Jackson with Don't Adjust Your ACC Network sound. That was the ESPN app sound we just heard at the start of her routine.
ESPN into Rihanna, only NCAA Gymnastics. Here we go, looking to build off of that 9.825, another 9.8, over 9.8 number, and that first pass, exemplary. Open, full twisting, double back.
And last year, Clemson came out to UCLA. She had a 9.925, her best on the floor. She loves competing in California.
Switch half, will fold. Eve so far, that first E-pass executed really well, just like Minner did with her front double fold. Gonna close things out. Touch front. Steps out to a double tuck. At ever so slight bounce back, but appreciate her chest position settling into that landing. Very nice ending there for Jackson.
And you should only NCAA Gymnastics with it. ESPN sounds, some Snoop, some Rihanna into the ESPN sounds.
The limit does not exist, truly. It's year over year. Expect the unexpected to come in both on the competition floor and over the speakers. Front tuck step out here into the double tuck. Now watch for the landing. You can take one step back, both feet clearly moving, but maintains it. Again, it's about making it as small of a deduction as possible. Talking there with Rebecca Wells.
Mentioned earlier, Eve's uncle, Deshaun Jackson, one of the best football players of all time.
Here we go with Kyan Mayhew. She's one of those athletes who's evolved into this lineup spot. Did not start her competitive career on balance beam, but Elizabeth Crandall Hall thrilled with the progress she's made. Hamstring step out, layout step out. Saw that right shoulder drift ever so slightly. Maintained tightness through her core. Kept things on.
She had a 9.825 last week at UC Davis on the beam. That's her best career score.
In her movements so far, I'm seeing a little bit of tentative motion. The drills, that 1.5. That was a pressure set for the sophomore who's newer to this beam lineup, so very respectable. She's following again another unexpected number there. The 9.65 has been posted for Lazon, and I believe where that came into play was the leap and jump combination. Mayhew, though, handling it well, so the Bears taking some notes away from beam. Lessons to be learned, things to be gained, undoubtedly.
The update to the Hughes score, and Cal will probably take a slight lead over Clemson. You see that total score in our score tower on the bottom. Here's Bree Clark, who's one of the most exciting on the floor in the country.
Bree Clark attempted a Biles 2 on-floor exercise early in the season. Missed it then. She's gone back to the double layout. Was short in warm-ups. Not in competition. Maintains the extension there. The party is up.
All ACC on the floor last year. She's gone as high as 9.95 on the floor.
Talk about the comparison and contrast between even the same school's lineups, moving with a little bit more freedom, projecting, moving, getting her whole body involved. Great to see at the close of this Clemson lineup. Important to close here with an exclamation point for Clark. Front layout, front full, front tuck. With those combination passes, you want to see the progression. You want to see things rise bigger and bigger. It was dynamic, and her form in the air was impeccable. Great close for Clemson.
And she was the Mountain Rim Gymnast Conference freshman and floor specialist of the year back in 2022 at Utah State with Amy Smith as her head coach.
Really thrilled with it. And with those 9-8 numbers that haven't been so familiar with Clemson thus far this season on floor, really great to see her kind of embrace the moment and go for broke. Like I said, in the warm-up, that double layout came in significantly short. In the meet, night and day. Amy Smith has got to be happy with what she's seeing on floor today.
You think you'll end up with 4 9.8s or better there?
Yes. Abby Scanlon here in the exhibition, and if history repeats itself, you know, Cal exhibitions here have been having a day of their own.
Annalise Newman-Ash had a 9.85 on exhibition. On the bars, Maya Wiley had a 9.85 on the vault. How about that for Cal Dep?
Back handspring step out, layout step out for Scanlon. Super secure. I like the variety in her movement. She's changing up the rhythm, changing up the pace, drawing the judges in. Switch leap, switch half. This is great work for Scanlon. She's had exhibition opportunities so far this season, really proving herself, working up to that lineup. Just such a feat for anyone on this Cal team. Round up, 1.5 dismount. Stoked on it. I'm not sure if we got a tiny foot movement or not. Coach Elizabeth Crandall-Hall was right overhead to get the first hug there. But needless to say, Scanlon is thrilled with that performance.
I'm sure Amy Smith and Clemson thrilled with the number for Brie Clark. She got a 9.9 on the floor. A very strong floor from Clemson.
First 9.9 of the season unofficially for Clemson in my book here. That's great to see.
Trinity Brown, exhibition performer here for Clemson. What's it like to perform exhibition?
Exhibition, it's all what you make of it. It's simultaneously the opportunity and the challenge. Trinity Brown with that double pike in the lead-off pass for her routine, very confident. Having some fun, creating these moments with the crowd and to interact with her teammates. But I would say the carriage, the upper body carriage, it's still coming off stiff, so you want to see them relax into it a little bit. And intensity, though, is undeniable in this performance from Brown. Switch side half, straddle jump. Clemson loves putting in that tuck jump full, tidy and tight. Trinity Brown, front tuck, through the double tuck. Great rise. Leaves the chest out just ever so slightly on that last pass, but that's a great option for Clemson to have. And when you're have athletes going out there, I would say it'll be important to see how the judges react and respond to those exhibition routines. Sometimes you're seeing something for the first time from an athlete, and so you need to be able to work that in and know what you can strategize with.
And Trinity Brown, when she was at Utah State, she had a 9.925, so a great option for Amy Smith going forward. We're done with 3 rotations. Clemson, they've tightened it up. As we look at the Bay Bridge, you take that to get from San Francisco here to Berkeley and get to duel number 1 in the ACC for Cal.